Okay, so I'm gonna give a quick little breakdown of how this is gonna work. Right, I'm gonna let the ship ride. I'm probably gonna go to map room, and then show you guys like an explanation. If I can scan the beacon, I will. But if they won't let me, then that sucks. But we'll see. All right, so this is kind of a bad example. I'm gonna be honest. This is probably the worst example that I could give with a zone like this. I'm gonna be honest with you. All right. Unfortunately, this is the zone area where I tell people to most avoid. So the thing about KC is this choke point starting from the top of here, the corner here, and pretty much it's pretty much here in the bottom. And this is kind of included in this right here, and then this cage area here. So all of this area right here, sorry, all of this area right here is like the zone you most want to avoid at all times. The zone ends up actually pulling here, so you would want to take probably like one of these houses. If it doesn't pull here, this is a good safe bet to pull this. The main reason why you probably want to pull like here or even like pull this house is having one of these houses. You can shoot the bridge team pretty easily. They can't really like hide too much. This team will usually shoot them. This is pretty much a god spot building when you see a zone like this, just as a default building. The only problem with this is if it pulls here, you're dead. Unless you have a Valkyrie. I think Valkyrie is probably the #1 pick right now for people who can't climb, or a movement mobility character that gets your team from point A to point B, aka Pathfinder. You can get a very high mobility comp such as like Octane, Octane, Pathfinder Horizon, Ash. Something that has some form of mobility. Maggie's pretty good. Just like something that gets you from point A to point B faster than just regularly walking. Wraith might be really good now for this map if you have trouble climbing. There's a lot of options. The whole thing is you just want to get your team from point A to point B. That's pretty much it. Yeah, map remove is really good. And that's my next breakdown that I'm going to give with the screenshot that I've gotten. I'm going to break down like the best spots to loot. Again, this is a very horrible example because, again, the key to KC that I've found personally is you want to avoid this mid area, kind of like what I said. We could call it Bermuda's Triangle, honestly. We really could. Bermuda's Triangle is pretty much like this, and like this. Well, we call it Death Valley. So again, pretty much all of this area from the top of here,
interesting over here,
all the way to the corner here. It could stretch all the way down here, but it's really, you really feel it about right here. And then all this, right? I'm giving you guys like the breakdown of why it's so bad. This is all open area, right? You have cage, it's very, very open. You have nothing but low ground with a bunch of high ground points. These are dips that you can hide in, and these are houses that pretty much like have the corner. However, these are all major choke points on a spot that is the most rotation spot in the game, right? Every team that is rotating, you know, on a zone, like let's say the zone's up here, let's say the circle's up here, all of these teams are going to rotate this way, with very few of them on the top rotating like here. So again, let's say the zone is Spotted Lake, right? Let's say there's a giant circle here, Spotted Lake, for an example. You have a couple of these teams are going to rotate from the top, a couple of these teams rotating from the bottom. But if every team got a POI, 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 hold on, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 half the map, 11 relic, gauntlets probably be coming up like this too. You guys are gonna be all right here rotating this way, right? And when you rotate this way, you're in a choke point that only allows one squad at a time before you get gate kept, right? So like, for instance, if you're landing here and you're crossing through here, if there's a team up top, a team in the house, they're going to shoot you and you have to walk back. If you walk into the tunnel and there's a team here, you can't go through the tunnel because the team gatekeeping the tunnel, and you'll get shot on your back from a rotating team. So then you have to wrap all the way around over here. God forbid there's a team over here. Now you have to wrap all the way back down over here, and then you're stuck, right? So you're pretty much stuck from all these these points, essentially. There's nothing you can really do about it. You have to take these long way outs, right? Now, if you have to go through here, let's say you're coming from this side and you have to walk through this way. If there's a squad gatekeeping you here and a squad gatekeeping you here, you have to walk all the way back over here through this choke point. or all the way back over here to like walk around. You're always just traveling some crazy distances that you need a Valkyrie on. If you have a whole circle in Spotted Lake, or even if you have a whole circle down here, right? Let's say it ends caustic treatment. This is the biggest one. If it ends caustic treatment and there's a giant circle kind of going like this, like over in this area, you have this entire top map all shoving themselves downward into this choke point. So avoiding this choke point at all costs is what you want to do. And I'm going to teach you basically how to do that. What you do on the entirety of zone 1 and zone 2, if you want to win majority of your games or always get top 5 in the majority of your games, you have to either fight off drop and win your 3v3. Like if a team drops on you, like I get it, you know what I mean? Like take a very, very isolated 3v3. And I'll teach you guys about that. Secondly, you want to not fight until you rotate into the spot you need to be in. This right here, right? This section that we call it here, we call it Death Valley, all this area. Well, you know, I'm going to include this shit because this is no, I'm not. Again, avoid this at all costs. So again, if the zone ends up here, let's say you land Repulsor, Hydro, Map Room, right? And you see the zone pulls up here. What you're going to do is you're going to take the longest and furthest distance for you to travel to get to that point. Or you're going to play Valkyrie. If you have a Valkyrie, run as close as you possibly can to a spot that you can Valcult and just start Valculting. You can wait till zone 2. You can Valcult twice. You can take a balloon if it's safe. So take it, like, let's say you land, land Rig, right? There's a balloon here in Rig. You take the balloon, you know, you fly over here, you fly here, you take Valcult, you fly here. You know what I mean? You're always taking the shortest, like, way to the point that you could possibly be in order to get to that end circle. So, like, again, let's say you land Repulsor, zone ends up here, you can wrap all the way around. And the reason why you can wrap all the way around is most likely you're going to third party a bunch of the squads, because these teams right here are either going to wrap all the way around or they're going to cut through the middle. But if you just wrap and play the edge all the way to Spotted Lake, you're not really going to run into too many fights, right? Or if you did fights you do run into, you're going to be the third party. You're going to be the fourth party, right? At that point, it's just game knowledge of like third partying correctly. Like you don't want to shoot too early to let that squad know you're there. You want to shoot that squad to let them know, you know, or you want to shoot that squad when there's a knock or 2 knocks on each team, right? You want to make sure that you're third partying correctly. So as long as you don't, like, I guess, shoot too soon, you can really, really third party effectively using the strategy of just playing hard edge to get to the zone. Again, vice versa. Let's say the zone ends Repulsor, you land Spotted Lake. You want to take the farthest and safest route to avoid this choke. This right here is much easier because there's so many open areas that you can essentially rotate to. Again, KC is really, it's a really bad map regardless because there's so many flat lands. This right here is just death. Like if you get caught out in one of these tunnels and you push, you could make it all the way to here, but then getting through this choke point, this is nothing but flat ground. And if a team comes out tunnel and a team shoots you here and there's a team cage, where are you going to go? You can go back. But let's say the zone's coming on, like, you know, right here, like chasing you this way, and you have no chance, but you have no heals or anything. You can only go forward. You're just dead, right? But imagine you took the long way out and you get caught out. You have like buildings. You have like kind of split up. You can split through here. You could split through here. You have like 3 options, right? In just this spot alone, here you have one. You have one option. Go forward. If you go back, look how far you have to go back. This right here, like how many times have you ever been in this tunnel and you have to go back? Look at this choke point. This team's just gonna walk this way because they're gonna be like, oh, you're just gonna go that way. Look how fast they could just third, or look how fast they can just keep gatekeeping you. This is such a bad design because, like, at least when this tunnel existed, you could cut through here, and like at least like run there and kind of be on the same page. This makes you go all the way back through market to then cut over here, or you have to go all the way around this way, but then that takes you back to the same spot. Literally, this map design just doesn't make sense to me because it's like you're just dead. So always take like these far ends. So you see right here, this like relic has a lot of buildings, gauntlet. I mean, this has a lot of open space and things like that as well. But if you rotate through this way and you rotate through the bottom half of the map, you have like some buildings, you have an open field, things like that. You have like something that you can actually like not get caught out in. If you get caught out, you can always kind of like run backwards. But this just kind of like this entire point. So this right here is probably one of the worst as well because it's a one straight shot. You see a squad at the bottom of this hill and they need to go up. Just watch the top of the hill. They can't do anything. If their only option is to travel over here to go all the way over here, to take the zip lines up, to then travel through here, and a completely open field where cage is probably going to be, cut through the field to then meet you here. Like, they're just not going to do it. Or they can wrap all the way around this way, but again, you have all that knowledge. You're looking down. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can literally send one person, just go, oh, just watch right here. Just sit on top of this and look down. You need I would say a Valkyrie is extremely important on KC. It's insane. If you're trying to gain RP or Pathfinder, like, it's something to get mobility, large amount of mobility for your team. I mean, I guess this video is basically going to be an explanation of why to avoid Death Valley. And I just gave you tons of reasons why to avoid Death Valley, essentially, and just always use the furthest way. Just like rotate. Zone 1 is your rotating tool, or is your rotating time, right? Like, you're gonna loot up. You can craft in the storm. You can do whatever. You can rotate late. You know, it's okay to craft. Always try to rotate near a crafter, and just in case if you're not near the meds. So let's say you land Spotted Lake and you really need a crafter. I mean, you could go crash site, but the zone just comes really quickly. You could just rotate, you know, through here, and you can craft containment, or you can craft capacitor. You can just like craft somewhere, like somewhere, right? So that's a quick little breakdown of like what and how to rotate. I'll explain it when I'm in game. I'll show you guys like what I'm gonna do with the solo queue, things and whatnot, of like how to avoid it. I'll probably play Valkyrie so I can show you guys like how to play Valkyrie, in that sense of like how to rotate. Understand where you're landing, okay? And to count, especially on KC, it's so important to count the squads. If you are an early team or early fighting team, again, always look for the 2. I'm gonna call it the 2-1, right? So like Gauntlet 2, Airbase U. It's like 2-1, right? 2-1. You always want to make it a 2-1. If you see a 2-1-1, then you have to pay attention to what I said before, like what happened in Rig. If you hear this fight, if it's a fast fight, and this is already over, and this squad wiped, wait. If you don't want to be that team that like jumps in and tries, if you aren't fast enough for the third party and this squad is healthy, you don't want to fight then. You just don't. Put your ego aside, unless you're just like a nutty fighting team, because market will come in third party you. 1,000,000%. You always just want to make sure that you're, I guess, paying attention to the map, especially on drop. There's one of two things you can do. One, you could drop for purely good loot, right? Like, you know you're going to get good loot, but you're probably going to fight. I would always try on KC to land. It doesn't even matter where you land. I'm not even trolling. It doesn't matter where you land for the third party. So what I mean by that, okay? Gauntlet. If I see 2 teams gauntlet, I land airbase. The reason why you do that is immediately I want you to loot up a gun, a heal, a something. Doesn't matter. You go. And if you only see 1 team relic and you see 2 gauntlet and you see you on airbase, if you third party gauntlet, you know relic's gonna third party as well. They're thinking the same thing. So this is all map knowledge of understanding of like, okay, if I land airbase, 2 gauntlet, 1 relic. Bunker's probably not going to pay attention to me too much, probably because they're going to loot Watertown. But they're going to loot this outside thing. If you can try, you can, skeeve this as well. But the thing is, like, Runoff is going to third party spotted. Runoff is going to third party pit. Or Runoff is going to third party airbase. It's pretty much wherever the POI is next to it is where they're going to third party. So like, let's say you land labs, you're going to third party capacitor. If you land capacitor and 2 teams land labs, capacitor's third partying you. If you see 2 teams rig and 1 team land basin, basin is fighting rig, swamps is going rig. Capacitor could also choose to go rig. So you just have to be completely aware, an understanding of like, okay, if we third party this, then it comes down to kill feed, right? So what you do is if you see and hear shots in rig and that team dies quickly, basin's still going to fight rig because that's their closest fight and they're going to take that fight. So basin's going to go rig. Capacitor, you basically just sit here and wait. And that's only if it's a clean wipe. So if rig wipes clean, it's a fast 3, you don't hear shots, basin will be at rig soon. You just have to be patient and wait and chill. And once you start hearing these teams fight, don't jump the gun. Wait till you see 1 knock, 2 knocks, 3 knocks, right? Like, wait till you see like trades, you know what I mean? Like you're seeing something in the kill feed and then you go in. And the only thing that could possibly happen at this point is if labs is rotating upward because of zone things or in swamps, you could get 4th partied and 5th partied. But that's where it comes in with the gambling of a battle royale. But that is I'm giving you the bare bones basic of how to third party and 4th party. You could essentially, like, let's say you can even land here let's say there's 2 teams gauntlet and there's 1 team airbase and 1 team relic. You can even land here and grab a gun, grab something, grab whatever, and you could just run over to gauntlet and just immediately pack a punch. You're in the fight, you get a kill, and then you literally walk out. You just kill him, get the KP, walk out, and you'll loot like the rest of whatever you can loot. The 2-1-1 or the 2-1 is probably like your bread and butter when it comes to like basic Apex Legends shit. Now, when it comes to looting, crash site, god tier loot. This right here, you're always gonna fight somebody. Lots of blue armors. You get a vault. It's a huge POI where you're gonna get a lot of meds. I think you have 2 vaults. I think there's a vault on this. No, there's a vault here, and I think there's a vault on this side as well. So that's like, yeah, there's 2 vaults. There's a beacon. There's a lot of like this spot right here, goated, S tier, 100%. S3? Yeah, wait, there's 1 up top. There's 1 here. Where's the 3rd one? Down here? Oh, wow. Yeah, there's 3. That's insane. If you get this POI by yourself, just loot. That's what you're doing. You're grabbing this POI to have like a very... I wouldn't say it's an ISO fight, 100%. But if a team lands artillery, like let's say this is your 2 and this is a 1, it's okay to land here, I think, and fight because you can drag out the fight so long. Like you shouldn't die off drop unless you're just aping each other's shit. And artillery just comes and, you know, fights in and stuff like that. But this is a very hard POI to like wrap up into. Like you should be able to see. Like there's a lot of times where I'll fight crash site and I'll push somebody and like we'll end the fight and then I'll see artillery come, but like we just run this way, right? But then Spotted Lake will be there, but that's besides the point. It's Spotted Lake usually has its own fight as well. So Spotted Lake, S tier, lot of loot, vaults, explosive holds, excuse me, lot of loot. Great. The only problem with this is if you see 2 people landing at Spotted Lake, you can land right here and grab scrap loot and run in and you'll third party. You can also loot this top part right here, right? So you loot this, you go here, you go here, you go here. That's kind of how Spotted Lake works. You third party it. You instant wipe, you instant kill, you get 3 KP, you're chilling, right? That's kind of like your thing too. Same thing with Pit. If you can try to like get this, like this little hook of loot, that's good. Keep in mind, containment. Again, follow the 2-1. The 2-1-1. So like 2, you're the 1, that's a 1, right? So 2-1-1, you know containment's probably going to third party because containment's closest fight is Spotted Lake. They're not going to go to all the way to artillery. They're not going to go to crash site. If anything, they're going to rotate if they hear some shots in bunker and Watertown. But the likelihood of that fight happening is Spotted Lake. It's probably the easiest to third party Spotted Lake and Pit and run off and all this because like they just go backwards. Containment, I would say, is not like S tier loot. I would say it's A tier only because sometimes you can loot the top of this. You get the pills in the middle. These right here, this little forest right here, usually has like a purple armor or something really good high tier in the middle of it with 3 pills. I don't know if that's still there, but it's pretty good loot. I think containment's good loot, but containment is a decently safe spot if you can land solo because teams are going to be like in deep artillery, in bunker, you have Watertown. They're not really going to run towards containment unless you're fighting. You know what I mean? You're pretty much going to be like rotating. But again, if you land containment, I say containment's like a decent middle spot of the map where it's like good rotates, especially if you're playing Valkyrie. Again, it kind of gets you that jump in the gun where you don't want to be a part of like Death Valley. You want to avoid Death Valley at all costs. So like you can really jump the gun and kind of like wrap around this way. You can go backwards and wrap around this way. Or if let's say the zone pulls caustic treatment, you're land containment, you can actually cut through like right over here and then Valk ult and then you're out. You can quickly avoid Death Valley by rotating. Pit, not that good of loot for a triple squad. Usually you want something like, you know, if I have landing Pit, I would land Pit. I would send somebody out to maybe like land like somewhere over here and kind of scrap some loot over here and here, just like whatever. Like if somebody takes Pit, you usually want to take No Name, which is right here. You just want like a bunch of people to like, you just want to take like the as much as you possibly can. So that way you're not just like stuck. Runoff again, I would say is like, I mean, it has a crafter. Has a lot of pills. I would say decent loot, probably like A to B. Same thing with Pit. Pit is very like hit or miss. Sometimes that shit is A, sometimes that shit is C. So like Pit is one of those things where you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. C, sometimes you can, you know, sometimes Pit, you can leave with some like pretty bad loot. Sometimes you can land with like 2 purples, like in the middle, things like that. But again, that kind of like with Pit, you kind of want the both. Airbase is, it's hard to loot, and I want to say it's like C tier, to be honest with you. It's like C or B. It's not like the craziest of loot, but it's enough to where like it's enough loot where you can third party with it. And I think that's the important part of it. You're not really landing at these POIs for necessarily god tier loot like you would crash at a spotted lake. You're looting runoff and airbase so you can third party like Gauntlet and Bunker. Bunker, speaking of Bunker, you want to land Bunker, Watertown, or No Name if you're going to take Bunker. You want all of this, or you want these two or these two. Opposite ends. If Pit is going to take, let's say Pit takes No Name, you take Watertown. Watertown, by the way, is this. We call it Watertown because water. You guys can take this. A lot of teams will land in the middle. I would say Bunker this split, if you can have like Bunker and Watertown for free, is probably the best spot to land because you'll quickly realize, especially with the Valkyrie, you'll quickly realize where to rotate to and you won't be caught in Death Valley because all these teams are just they're not gonna rotate towards you. But you never, ever, 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 ever want to stay here long. Exactly. You never want to stay here long. You want to get out as fast as possible. Gauntlet has a chance of being like A tier, but I would say on average it's pretty B. Relic, I would say, is A tier. I haven't landed here too much. Actually, you know what? S tier. I think Relic is S tier loot. Only because these pills in the back are goated. These pills right here, there's 3 pills, 4, 5, I think 6 on each with more in the middle over here. I would say this right here is nuts. Like this wall right here, bro, it is nuts. You get so much loot. So Relic, in my opinion, is an S tier spot. You're always going to fight though. So it's S tier loot with very, very, very high risk. If you get this POI alone, you loot, you leave. You don't want to stay Relic only because Gauntlet's first thing is to go Relic. Market's first thing is to fight Relic. You're an idiot sandwich, okay? If you stay here, you're going to get squashed by both of these. And that's assuming that there's no fight at airbase, right? So like, again, remember the 2-1-1 that I talked about? If it's a 1 across the board, 1, 1, 1, 1. At that point, it's the luck of the draw. They're all waiting. This whole little squad right here, they're all waiting to hear that bullet. That's all they're waiting for. They're waiting to hear the bullet. Market, C. It is C tier as fuck. It is probably like, you have crappy rotates, to be honest with you, but you're going to take Market and you're going to loot over here. You want Market, this, and this. That's what you do. There's POIs where by itself, like if this building, you get this right here. If you just get this, C. If you get this, this, and this, now we're talking. And I think that's what brings up this point, or it brings up the market to like probably a B to even A, but only if you can get like these around. But market itself is straight, like it could even be D tier. Like you could walk away with like 1 blue armor and like barely any guns. It's like horrible to loot too. Caustic treatment is probably S tier because you have a lot of loot right here if market doesn't take this in time, but you have a lot of loot, a lot of pills, a lot of buildings over here. You get a crafter, you get the golden items. So like you can get a golden bag, a golden knockdown, golden armor, all that. Caustic treatment, absolute S tier. Map room, I would say is S tier. It's S tier not just for loot, okay? So map room is S tier by itself because of knowledge. You scan the beacon and you know where every squad is. So even if you leave map room with 3 whites and decent guns, which you'll either leave map room with like decent guns or like decent armors. Info is infinitely more important because it's one of those things of like, I can scan and I can see where to third party. I can scan and see the next zone. I know exactly where to go. You're at the corner of the map, so you need to move. I know exactly where to go. And I can always rotate over here. Usually Repulsor, usually third party's Hydro, or vice versa. These squads end up fighting. Nobody really rotates the map room unless it's a 2-1 scenario where 2 map room, 1 Repulsor. But usually it's like 2 Repulsor, 1 map, and then you just go up and you just third party with map room. Again, follow the 2-1 or the 2-1-1s, or that's what you want to pay attention to. If it's a 1-1-1, just assume that Repulsor has a 50-50 chance of third partying you just because you're closer and they want that knowledge. I would say map room is just highly sought after for beacon knowledge and just knowing where everybody is. But Hydro could be following suit because nobody literally like lands cage to third party because it's just so open. Labs, again, usually if Hydro goes labs, they just go capacitor. So it's just, you have to like just pay attention to the map. Hydro apes swamps a lot. They'll only ape swamps again if this is a 2. So remember I gave you guys the explanation of like the 2-1-1, right? So if there's 2 swamps, 1 hydro, yeah. But also labs is going to be there, where you then have to pay attention to the 2-1-1. If swamps ends the fight quickly, then you wait. And you wait for labs to third party. And then you third party labs. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all about patience. It's all about making sure that you're being the third party. And of course, this is all good in theory, and I'm going to try to practice it and show you guys. Sometimes it's just hard to pay attention because when you're actually in the game, the map's so big, right? I would say the key takeaway of everything is just avoid Death Valley and rotate to either corner of wherever you see. And if it ends in Death Valley, to take this building as default. This building, especially with a Valkyrie, or this building down here, but this building is ass as well. This is pretty good to take. This top building right here is probably God spot. But anyway, map repulsor is going to be, I would say A tier. No, B. I'm gonna give it B. The reason why I'm gonna give it B is because you need this inside tunnel loot. If you can loot the inside tunnel and maybe get the top of 82, then it's pretty good. But you're mostly landing repulsor to fight hydro. Or excuse me. You need this tunnel loot. So hydro is a B as well. Hydro and repulsor are B. It has the potential of being A, but like you'll loot this shit. I think if you get this, it's B tier, but it's mostly B. Hydro is also B tier because you need the inside tunnel. I was looking at the wrong POI at the time. You need the inside tunnel, but you most likely, the thing about Hydro that's really, really bad, in my opinion, which makes it B tier specifically as well, is you have so many third-party teams. Like if let's say, again, if we follow the 2-1 knowledge, if 2 teams land Hydro, get the fuck out. Don't even fight. Don't even fight. There's no point. Loot, run. Why? Repulsor, cage, labs, swamps. You want to talk about an idiot sandwich? It's about as idiot as it gets if you want to fight Hydro. Everyone's going to hear those shots. Everyone's aping your shit. And with the amount of like rotationary legends, like you have Valkyrie, you have Ashe, you have Octane, you have Pathfinder, you have everyone. Like, you have teams who literally get like their ults with the ult charger machines, whatever you want to call it. I forgot the name of it. Chargers. You die. Okay? You die. Labs. I think labs is good. It's A tier if you get this. Okay, A with the potential for S. A tier because you need all of this, right? If you just get labs by itself, B. And the only reason I say B is because of the third party opportunities you have if you get it by yourself. If you get all this, it becomes S tier because of the portal. Huge rotations. Huge rotations with the chance to third party capacitor. But you know Cage, Hydro, and Swamps are coming behind you guys. So you guys are like, make sure you move quickly. It depends on what you do in this scenario right here. But it has like a B to S is what labs can be. Capacitor is going to be, in my opinion, if we're judging on just loot, I'd say it's A. Capacitor, you can get your ults. You definitely get good loot. You definitely get good loot. Sometimes it's really hit or miss. It could be like good loot, whatever. The reason why it's not S tier is because this spot right here is the most third-party aped spot in the game. You're surrounded by nothing but high ground. You're in this pit. You want to loot and go high ground. This way. You want to get on top of this building right here. You do not want to stay low ground for longer than the first minute of the game. You want to loot, charge your ult, get the loot, leave. Don't wait for labs to third party. Don't third party labs, leave. You can either run to the portal, but again, if you see a team's labs, they're going there. They're 100% going to meet in the tunnel, and you don't want to fight there because what's going to happen is you're just going to get thirded. So I would just leave. This is a great default building to take. So as long as like you land capacitor, one of you lands here, loots this, then loots down, takes this, you all kind of loot this, and then you take the zip back up and you play this. And then you kind of rotate away from Death Valley. You know, you get the jump on the gun where you can rotate high. You can go through here, Valkal, get over here to Gauntlet, like cut through this as fast as possible. You never want to be caught out in this. You always want to run right through it. Don't fight here, run through it. I'm not even joking, man. If there's a squad fighting here, like let's say you see a squad fighting here and you're rotating through here and you see a squad fighting here, keep running. Keep running. See you later. Good luck. Have fun. Whoop. Bye. Because like all those shots, bro, is like whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. I'm going to rotate for free. All right. Swamps. Man, I like swamps because nobody ever lands here. I think swamps is just too spaced out, which makes it A tier. I think the loot's pretty good. You get a beacon, you get a crafter, You get a lot of stuff. Not a lot of people can third party you or fight you in swamps like a quick wipe, right? Because you can kind of like play the buildings and hide, and it's going to make so much noise that like you're going to like any team that tries to third party you is just going to be out in the open. I think swamps is a really safe place to land. I would say it's like A, and that's pretty much about it. Rig, in my opinion, rig is like A tier, S tier, because you get the charge tower, you get good loot, but it becomes S tier if you can get this spot as well. And the reason why it's S tier is you can loot all of this and you get a balloon out. And you can easily third party basin, capacitor, swamps, labs. So the ability, rig is a good spot to land if you're trying to get KP early and you want to fight because of the good loot, the charge tower, and the balloon. I think this spot right here has really great potential for good squads that are like or 3 stacks with good communication in Discord. I think this spot right here is just really, really strong. But again, it falls under the 2-1-1 law that I'm going to create. I've created the 2-1-1 law, by the way. It's my law, where it's 2-1-1. If you fight rig, you're dead. Don't fight rig. You fight, you run. If you're fighting at rig, you run. Unless you can handle the third party from basin. Basin, I think basin is B tier, but you don't land basin for the loot. You land basin for the third parties, because what happens is capacitor and rig are 2 sought after POIs. So you land basin to get minimal loot. You land there to get a weapon. You land to get an armor. You land there to get fucking decent stuff, like quick little stuff. You do have an explosive hold. Grab the loot, and you are in their shit. Vice versa. You are fighting capacitor or you're fighting rig. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Let's say this is a 2-1-1. You know rig is going to third party capacitor. You know what's going to happen. So you can either choose run or you're having to deal with a third, fourth party. This is 3 to 4 parties right here. So you just got to you got to learn how to fight at that point. Artillery. I like landing artillery. I think artillery is good loot. I don't think it's bad at all. I think what you try to do, always when you land at a POI, see what else you could take next to it. So containment, land here. Like you take containment, you want to land on top over here. You want to take this stuff. You want to take this stuff. If you have it by yourself, only if you have it by yourself, right? Artillery, if you have it by yourself, loot this, work your way inward, take this, and you loot this, right? And vice versa. Artillery, you can also loot the top of 82 if you don't think containment's going to take it. Artillery is good here. You can loot the forest. Capacitor, same thing. Basin, same thing. You land basin, you rotate, you grab forest. You never, like, that's why you never really want to fight in this forest area, by the way. Never fight in the forest. I would think artillery is I would say it's an A tier for sure. There's not many S tiers on this map, just A tiers, only because the loot pool for KC has always been very, very bad. The new POIs that they added are all S tier, right? Like Crash Site, Spotted Lake, Relic, like these right here. Containment is like really, really decent loot, but for the most part, like the S tier spots are all the new spots they added. Caustic treatment, like it's not, they don't really have some of the craziest fucking spots in the entire game. Artillery has strong rotates, yeah, because you have a balloon. So I think that's what makes it like A tier really, really strong. You get a crafter, you get a beacon, you get decent loot, you get great third party opportunity with the balloon. Because with the balloon, you can go straight basin or straight rig, and you're just becoming the 4th, 5th party. So artillery has a lot of, you know what? Artillery might even be S tier, only because of like what I just explained. Like really good third party potential, really good, like decent amount of loot where you have enough to fight, and decent rotations. The only problem with artillery is like if you don't have a Valkyrie, again, I guess that's with every composition. If you don't have a Valkyrie, when you fly, you're kind of putting yourself in a very, very open field. And that's like one major problem with KC is a lot of this is just so open and flat, and a lot of high grounds that look down, right? Like Death Valley is one of those points that really highlight the issues with this map. I don't know what the devs were thinking by taking away some balloons or taking away some things, but this right here, you just simply die. Do not fight here whatsoever. It is a no-go zone. Do not fight. You are dead. Runoff is, in my opinion, is a tier if you get all this loot. And the reason why it's A tier, third party potential. Cage, loot cage, run. Cage is not meant, you're not meant to fight at cage. There's just no, there's no way. Cage is a big no-no. You don't fight here. You don't do it. It is just open. It is just open. It is exposed. It is out there. Yeah, new cage isn't a cage. This should be called I'm Dead. Or, I don't know. We could think of some funny name to call this, to be honest with you. Come shoot me. Third party is for free. Shit post. Open box. The shooting range. Nah, this is Death Trap right here. This whole thing is Death Trap. This whole fucking thing is just Death Trap. I would even say it extends all the way to cage. Yeah, like this. Dude, can I like draw on this? This right here is Death Valley. All that's Death Valley. It can even include this, to be honest. The Bermuda Fry-angle. Oh, that is good. The Bermuda Fry-angle. You will get your shit fried inside the box. In the Bermuda Fry-angle, you will get fucked. We called it Death Valley. Now we call it Bermuda Fry-angle. Do not fight here. Death Diamond. Bro, we didn't name for this. We didn't name for this. You got to pick. I can't. Death Diamond is like, that's amazing. The Bermuda Fry-angle. It's a Bermuda parallelogram, though. Listen, get your math fucking ass out of here. I don't need you dropping fucking knowledge. Okay, we're gamers. Most of us are really dumb. The yeet box. We call it the yeet box. Yeet. You just die. Lobby square. You'll go back to the lobby if you go back. If you fight in the square. Called lobby square. That's pretty good. Boombox. Gibby's hitbox. The coffin. Ooh, you guys are making these really good names. Area 51. The no square. We'll call this bitch Florida. Just absolute a shit show. We'll call it Florida. Yo, I live in Florida. Take it easy. Oh, my bad. My dude's gonna about to ride a fucking alligator into my living room. This is a horrible example that I wanted to save as well. Is like, when a zone ends here, you just, I guess is actually maybe the best screenshot, because then I can tell you how to deal with the Bermuda Fry-angle, right? I can tell you how to deal with Florida. If a zone is right here, it's not bad to take this top part and then slide down on top of the house. I think like here is pretty good, like this spot right here, because it's like a really big house. Like you have decent spots to hold. High ground is really hard to hold because teams will rotate from here, and then other team, I mean, you'll just have to shoot this team and things like that, but a team can come from the choke point as well, where it's like if you're here, you just slide down and you look at what's in front of you. You never have to look at what's behind you. Again, Valkyrie changes a lot for, it changes a lot for you guys. I think Valkyrie is still one of the most used legends that you could possibly play, or any movement legend in general. What if you're in bunker, you lose? Let me look. If you're in bunker, I mean, it depends on what legend you have, right? Because if you're playing in bunker and there's a lot of squads alive and things like that, your only best bet is to portal and get underneath this house right here. That's your only play.